So it's a seamless world. You can sort of go from zone to zone. That was like a level 6 through 10 zone we just saw. This is more of like a level 10 through 22 kind of zone. And the theme of this area is wind. And so you'll see the wind affects the props and the structures and the grass. And it also dominates what a lot of the quests are in the area. We try to What's that?
What's the zone called?
The zone is called Galeras. Galeras. Like a gale, I guess. And the zone we just left is called Algarok. And throughout here, there's lots of little details. Like there's AIs, the birds will build nests and hatch eggs and that sort of thing, or bees pollinate the flowers and they get honey, which they can spread on the ground to slow you down and all that. So there's lots of little interactive bits in the environment. But the real key is making sure you don't get zone fatigue, you don't get bored. So there's lots of different play spaces. You can just clearly see from here about different combat zones, different areas like forests. Up ahead, these ships are flying in from a battlefield where again, each area has its own sort of unique elements to it. Either monsters to fight, which different combat attacks, in this case giant tanks, which you're going to fly under, and different interactive elements inside the battlefield itself. Here there's cannon strikes happening that you need to dodge in and out of. There's the ships are strafing nearby. You get to shoot them down. When they crash, you got to go out rescue pilots. There's all sorts of different elements happening in each area. And so this one, as you just came from sort of like a peaceful mining town, now all of a sudden here you are maybe an hour later and you're dealing with massive invasions going on and big ships flying about. This also an area, we have maybe level 20 town past this that you can work on a series of quest lines. And those sorts of areas you can improve as well, either by doing quests or sort of in a more permanent fashion, in a more impactful fashion as a settler where you can actually build up a new field hospital or new vendors and those sorts of things to improve the areas. Again, we can kind of modify any of our terrain when we want. So we let the players do that sometimes with our housing system, which we just announced, or with the settlers being able to do it. Sometimes quests will do it too. So throughout here, now we go through a lower level town. And it's going to repeat that same thing. We're just in one zone here, and we're already in like about our 4th sub area with different, dramatically different looks. Now we go out, there's a cavern down below, or a chasm, I should say. And once again, we start changing up all those elements. So you've learned the past monsters. Now there's ones with new attacks. There's brand new monster types. There's wind spouts going through here that can throw you up to higher levels. So if you're smart, you can use this to go land up on the higher areas that you can't otherwise get to. Especially for explorers, tend to have lots of stuff to do like that. But the real key is what we're trying to do is make sure that you always have something new to do, where if you've learned the patterns, if you've learned how these monsters fight, the next one's going to surprise you because it's going to have a new pattern that maybe takes away your standard response to these things or make you interact with a new way. I'll show a brief video actually which runs through some of that as well, and sort of talk about our combat philosophies in a bit. Here's a level 60 dungeon. We do 2 cool things with these. We tend to introduce these in areas that are a bit lower level because we want you to learn about the story, we want to learn about the major players in the world while you're leveling up. But then we pay it off at level 60 because at the end of the game, we want to make sure that what you're doing is having an ongoing story that's advancing what's happening in the world. In normal raiding, you don't really get to do much story elements because some dude's yelling at you like, oh, move over here, or more dots, or screaming at you to not read the book you're reading. So we give Story Dungeon about every 6 or 8 weeks. We'll task some of our teams to just keep on doing content for the solo player. Most of the time in solo gameplay, you get to the end, and maybe it's like trade skills or like daily quests. Now, we want more, and so some of that is advance the storyline, give new content on a regular basis for people to do, on like a predictable basis. So throughout here, more dynamic areas. Now we're getting to like a more dark brooding area. We're like level 17, level 18. So the feel of the zone changes. Now, like, hey, you're getting a little tougher. Start showing more dark and brooding areas. There's lightning strike crashing down that you need to deal with. There's a series of bosses to go fight. In this kind of area, we keep on taking up enough in terms of toughness because you start off in happy areas. We're introducing you to the world. Maybe there's some danger, and then as you get higher and higher level, you get more and more stuff to fight that's kind of more badass. And so up ahead, as players are going through this, we have about 300 players going through the game right now in various stages, playing through the content. When they love stuff, we mark it down and we do more of it. When they hate stuff, we rip it out and we do it again. We're a very iterative team where we basically go through and we just make things better and better and better week by week.